Let's see who pops in. Oh. Where you going, dude? Let's see who pops in. You're so freaking cute, dude. What are you doing? Stay. Hello? Calvin, what are you doing, buddy? Hey, Nature Dog Realms. Chris, welcome in. Thanks for being here. And thank you so much for the gifted memberships early and becoming a member. I really appreciate that. Hey, Calvin, you got people on. What are you doing? Hey, Maverick. Oh, you got notified? That's good because this is a pop-up. We didn't even plan this one. What, Cal? Thank you so much for the floating heart, Mav. I appreciate that. Hey, Brooks, welcome in. Hey, Allison, how you doing? Welcome in. Hey. Say hi to your fans and your friends. Say hi to your friends. Hey, Allison, welcome in. Oh, I said that to you already. Hey, Medic, how you doing? Jersey, welcome in. Yeah, Calvin's full of energy. All right, buddy. Hey, Richard, welcome in. Thank you for being here. All right, buddy. All right. A little quiet, please. Yeah, Calvin's very much full of energy right now. All right, buddy. Oh, thanks for the happy poop. Appreciate it. Calvin, Jersey said hello. Welcome in, Arlene. Thank you so much for being here. Oops. Sorry. I almost hit the wrong button. That would have stunk. All right, buddy. Do you want a treat? Do you want a treat? Let's go get a treat. Maybe that will keep it quiet for 5 seconds. All right, sit. Good boy. Good job. So how's everybody's Thursday going? Hopefully everybody's having a great Thursday. Calvin's pumped for the live. Yes, we got 22 in the house. 5 thumbs up. If you could hit that thumbs up, that would be awesome. Thanks for dropping the emojis, Chris. I got to work on a few more emojis. Now that we've got some more members, I can actually add a few. So I'll try to work on that this week. What's up, buddy? What do you want? Let's turn on. So the reason why this chair is here is they are working on my deck, and this is just a reminder that I can't go out that way or it might hurt when I fall. Barry's in the house. Welcome in. Appreciate you being here, bud. Thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate it. It is a good reminder. You know who told me to do it? The contractor. Sadly, he's been at it long enough. And like this deck's not that high off the ground. It's only like maybe 2 or 3 feet. But he does a lot of decks where they're on like a second story. And he said that he's actually, I'm not trying to laugh. It's not funny. But he said that somebody kind of totally forgot, walked out the door, and they got hurt. You know, they were fine, but like they got hurt. It was kind of a longer fall. So I was like, you know what? That's a good idea because you just never know, right? You're just absent-minded and you decide to run out the door, and the next thing you know, you hurt yourself. It is crazy. Hey, Troy's in the house. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for dropping the links, Arlene. I appreciate it. let's see who else is in here. I think I got everybody that's in. I think I said hello to everyone. Yeah, that was crazy. So yeah, this has been a busy week for us. Well, for me, not so much for him. But so he's gotten a little bit of a break. But I've had a long, busy week, and I'm glad that tomorrow's Friday. And I did have a holiday on Monday, so that was nice. It was a bank holiday, so closed. You know, the bank was closed, the credit union was closed. So 3-day weekend is always a good thing. And then I had jury duty on Tuesday and Wednesday, and let me tell you, that was a very interesting. Thank you for taking care of that, mods. I really appreciate it. Gotta handle those trolls that come in. Hey, mint chocolate chip balls, Richard, welcome in. So yeah, jury duty was interesting. So it was my first time ever being called for my second summons ever. The first time I was able to get out of it because of stuff that was going on at work. We were going through a gigantic project at work, and we essentially sent letters to the jury commissioner just pleading to get out of it because of what was going on. And so they let anybody basically who was getting summons at my credit union. It seemed like everybody was getting called for jury duty. I don't know what was going on, but we pretty much everybody got out of it. And so then I hadn't heard anything until this year. And so I got summoned for jury duty and to report Tuesday and Wednesday. And so I had never officially reported until now. And so it was interesting to learn about that whole thing. So I don't know, has anybody in this chat, I'm assuming you guys have been to jury duty before? Just curious to see how common that is in other states. Hey, animal lover, welcome in. Thank you, Arlene. I appreciate that. Thank you, Verajo. I appreciate that. Welcome in. Allison said she was called before but got out of it. Barry said he's been a couple of times. Okay. So anyways, this was my first time going. And so this was for Superior Court. Not Supreme Court, but it's the same courthouse for both Superior and Supreme Court in Rhode Island. The district court building is a completely separate one for Providence County, which is where I live. And so you go into the juror's lounge, basically, and the jury commissioner goes in there. There was probably like a pool of 150 of us, maybe, and essentially explain what was going to happen. And at that point, we didn't even know what kind of case, we were being, what we were reporting for. And I don't know if the jury commissioner didn't know this yet, or if the jury commissioner knew but couldn't say anything yet. So we're sitting there for about an hour. And I just want to read this chat real quick. Nature Dog Relatives, yes, I got picked jury duty to be on a murder case, and the person who got convicted wanted me off the jury, so I never got to actually be part of the case, but he was found guilty. So Adventure America has been to jury duty and not selected. Hey, Valerie, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. We're just talking about jury duty. Maverick Doodles has never been summoned before. Okay. So anyways, we're all in the jury lounge, and they're explaining, kind of what could happen. Essentially, we could either be asked to be a juror on either a criminal or a civil case. And depending on the kind of case, will determine how many jurors they need. So for a criminal case, they need 14, 12 who will actually serve and 2 alternates. And then for a civil case, they need 8, 6 who will serve and 2 alternates. So then, once he explains kind of what we could be getting into, we're just kind of hanging out there for maybe another like 30, 45 minutes. And then the commissioner comes back in and basically says, okay, we're going to be going up to the the courtroom soon. Judge so-and-so needs a jury for a criminal case that's being in place. So at that point, you still don't know what the case is. You just know now it's a criminal case. And so all, 150 of us go up into the, the courtroom. It was, in Superior Court. The courtroom was really beautiful. Like, it's amazing how nice it actually is. Just like what it looks like inside, the very ornate, and just was really nice. At least that courtroom we were in. And so then you're in there, and all of a sudden you see prosecuting attorneys, a defense attorney, and the actual defendant who is going to be on trial. And it was just like, wow, it's like crazy. Okay, this is a criminal case. I still don't know what's going on yet, but there's an actual defendant and a bunch of attorneys, and then, the sheriffs, bailiffs, the judge, and all that. Yep. And then eventually the judge comes in, all rise. And so then the judge, before the judge actually comes in, they go in and qualify you to make sure that you can actually serve as a juror. They just want to make sure that you're a U.S. citizen, that you're over the age of 18, and that you live in a city or town that's part of Providence County. And then once they do that, then there's a second qualification. Basically, it's like a couple of sets of questions just to make sure that, you're just not a biased person in general, that kind of stuff. And then at that point, the judge comes in, and then she starts letting everybody know, okay, what this person's being charged with for crime. So this case was crazy, and I didn't remember this case. Rhode Island's not a big place, but, the crime happened in 2023, so it took 2 years for this to go to trial. And so I didn't remember this. I'm sure it was all over the news. And so the person was charged with first-degree murder and 6 other felony counts, all stemming from, like illegal gun, using a gun out in public, a whole bunch of crimes related to firearms and the murder. They always find connecting crimes. And so at that point, I was like, whoa, this is serious. This is really serious. And so at that point, they basically say, okay, the way that it works is all the jurors' numbers go into like a drum roll, if you will. And then, they basically pick your juror number at random. So is that similar to how it works for your states? Just out of curiosity before I keep going into the story. And let me see who else came in. I know I missed some folks. Hey, JH7, welcome in. Valerie says she's never been summoned. Let's see. Nature Dog Realms. Wow, so you were called but not selected. That's and I'll get into that because that happened to quite a few people in my jury pool also. Let's see. JH7 is in the house. Hey, Tanya Burton, welcome in. Yeah, it is really long, Allison. 2 years. Isn't that crazy? It definitely was not the People's Court, Barry. I literally was hoping like it was going to be just like this little civil case that was going to be resolved like in one day, but that was not the case. So, basically the defendants in there, the judge is reading all of these crimes, and I'm thinking if I'm in his shoes, it's like at that point, like, do I want to just crawl under a rock? Because I would just be mortified if I were ever charged with all these crimes in the first place. But, I guess, after 2 years, maybe it sort of, it's not a big deal anymore. Although obviously it is a big deal because this person, now is going to rely on 12 people to, seal his fate one way or another. Hey, Ford 4600, welcome in. Hunter, welcome in. Hey, Veronica, how you doing? Welcome in. So anyways, now, they start calling jurors, basically. And so they call 14 people. You know, they roll the barrel 14 times, and then 14 jurors go into the jury box. And then at that point, thanks for the gifted memberships, Troy, Adventure America. I really appreciate that. Let's see who got it. Ariel, Viking, Venturer, Terry's just doing her thing. Brittany, Fox, the cutest dog in the West. Awesome. And OG. Thank you so much, Troy. That's amazing. Hey, Ravi, welcome in. So then what happens is the state, you know, because it's the state against this person that's, you know, who's filed the complaint. The attorneys representing the state essentially just start, you know, grilling questions. But before they do that, the judge asks a couple of questions. And this is sort of the one thing I didn't really like. And so the judge will basically say, okay, you know, juror number one, it says that you work as, you know, XYZ, you work as a mechanic. And so then the juror number one has to like say, yes, that's correct. Or, you know, if it's not correct, no, I'm not in that job anymore. I do this. And then the judge will ask, okay, then where do you work? And I thought that was interesting because depending on where people work, I'm like, well, it would be kind of easy to figure out like who they are, even though you don't know their name. Like if I know what they do for a job and what their employer is, like in today's day and age with all the information that's out on the internet, like I'm pretty sure I could probably figure out who that person is and match it to a picture. And so I didn't like the fact that you had to disclose where you worked in the line of questioning. Then they asked you about like whether or not you had spouse and adult children working, and if they did, you know, what their jobs were. And I get part of that was they were just trying to make sure that people maybe weren't working in like the legal field or working in law enforcement or any, you know, positions that might be a conflict of interest for the case. But I just didn't see the need to disclose somebody's company. I just thought that was a little too personal because in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, how do I know this defendant, you know, who, by the way, had a pen in his hand and was taking notes? How do I know he's not writing, okay, juror one, mechanic at, you know, XYZ mechanic shop, and, you know, having his people keep tabs on these jurors? Like that to me was a little freaky out. I didn't like that at all. So of the experience, I would say that was my least favorite part. We got Kevin in the house, hiking with Jackie Boy. Welcome in. Appreciate you being here. So anyways, they start asking you a ton of questions, the attorneys, you know, basically learning a lot about your life stories. They ask you about your opinions of like gun laws and like, law enforcement, particularly like for the city of Providence and the state police, because they were involved in the investigation. You know, they ask you, you know, in this particular case, there was no video evidence of the incident, just, you know, witness testimony. And I believe there's no dispute that the gentleman actually pulled the trigger, but obviously we didn't really get many facts of the case. And so they ask questions about, you know, how are you going to be comfortable being able to use like your own common sense and like, you know, determining like the credibility of the witnesses on both sides, you know, the defense and the prosecution. And so all of these questions. And then basically once the prosecutors go, the defense attorney has the chance to ask a bunch of questions to the jurors. And some jurors were dismissed right on the spot, depending on their answers. And then some, you know, stuck around. But then once all 14 jurors were in the box, the state and the defense attorneys could then replace people if they didn't think they were right for the jury. So that happened all through day one. Literally, it was just, you know, if somebody would get removed, they would roll the barrel and they would pick another jury member to go into the juror's box. Now, the good thing I did like is that if some of the questions that were asked were too personal, the judge did allow that juror to go to sidebar with the judge and the attorneys to, you know, discuss whatever question or whatever concerns they had in private, so that the rest of the folks in the gallery, also the other jurors, and more importantly, the defendant couldn't really hear what they were talking about. But what I found that was anytime anybody went to sidebar, that juror ended up getting dismissed. So whatever they said clearly was a red flag for them not to be able to serve on that particular jury. So anyways, I know I am talking a lot here. I'm sorry, but I found this very, very fascinating. But if you guys are getting bored, just tell me to shut up. Hey, Little Ranger Pierre, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Let's see who else came in. I think I got everybody so far. Todd Saw's in the house. What's up, Todd? Welcome in. Allison's not bored. Okay, good. I'll keep going then. You know what? The good thing is you guys have each other, right? If you guys don't want to hear me talk, you guys can always chat with each other. But so that process went on for day one. They did give us a lunch break, just because it was dragging on. And so I did step outside the courthouse for about an hour. I got to go for a little bit of walk, grab something to eat, and sit down at one of the nearby parks and just chill out for a bit. And then, again, much of the same in the afternoon. And, they didn't have their jury pool selected after day one. So we were dismissed at 4 o'clock or shortly after. I think it was right at 4, actually. And we had to come back for day 2, which was yesterday. So, again, same process. Basically they're just trying to narrow and land on a jury pool. So we're getting really, really close. There's like one more spot that needs to be filled. The prosecution at that point was very happy with the jury that was selected, but the state put in one more request for a change. And so then, voila, the barrel rolls again, and the Madam Clerk reads out, juror number 61. Well, guess who was juror number 61? That would be yours truly. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm going to get through this unscathed, but nope, I get called. And at this point, a lot of the questions, they were just so repetitive. Anytime a new juror came in, the prosecuting attorneys and the defense attorney were asking the same exact question. So thankfully, the judge said, look, you guys know the questions. If there's any reason that you might have hesitation, just come up to sidebar right away so we can speed up this process. And so I said, can I go up to sidebar? So I had a sidebar conversation with the judge and the attorneys. And essentially, I won't get into all the details because, I know some of this can maybe start to get a little political, and I do not want to go down that road. But essentially, all I said was there were particular facts that might come out in this case that would potentially make me biased in my opinion about the defendant, that, if those facts came out and were true, I said I would have a hard time getting past that, regardless of whether or not he was justified in, killing this person. And so I said, I don't know if I can get past that. And so they basically said, well, if that's sort of your mentality, there's no way you can serve on this jury. And I said, okay, I agree with that. So I ended up getting excused because of one part of, how I feel about guns. I'll just leave it at that. That, basically got me excused from serving on the case. And so I was then dismissed at about, I want to say close to noon yesterday, or maybe just after noon time. And they were still looking for the 14th juror at that point. I could have potentially have been the last juror selected. And I don't know how they picked the 12 out of the 14. I never got to that point. I don't know if it's, okay, well, since I'm the last one on, I'm an alternate, or if they, really want the 12 who they think are the best and they make 2 an alternate. I never got to that point. But, so, given this particular case, I don't think I was, going to be great for this jury. But there were also other reasons why serving on this jury would have been tough. Like, I am so busy with work right now, and I know the court probably doesn't care about that, but the reality is I just have a lot of like big important things happening at my credit union that impact my job, and I just didn't want to be put in a position where I was going to be stressing out trying to, serve on this jury and then also try to get my work done. And not to mention, I have a trip coming up to Texas in like 3, 4 weeks that I didn't want to miss. Of course, I didn't tell him that, but so anyways, I got out of it. But I will say this: I was very fascinated by the process, and I think if I ever got called again in the future, and even if it were for a criminal case, I think it would be really cool to actually serve on a jury and go through the entire trial and participate in that. I definitely think that would be awesome. All right, let's see what I missed in the comment. All right, let's see. Let me go back a little bit. Oh, I think somebody else came in. Yep, Brit came in. Thank you for the gifted membership. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Adventure America, for that. That's awesome. Appreciate you being here. Let's see who else came in. Kerry came in. You have a Boston Terrier? Awesome. What's your Boston Terrier's name? What's his name? This is Calvin. This is Calvin. He's going to be 6 years old in about a week and a half. So he's got a birthday coming up. Oh, she's going to be 1 in October 21st. Very close to Calvin's birthday. You always win that lottery. Well, let me tell you, obviously, as they kept kicking jurors off, the odds of getting picked were getting a little better. But even so, like when I got called, there were still at least, 50 or 60 people in the juror pool. So if you think about it, I only had like a 1 in 60 chance, maybe even 70. Like there were still a lot of people. And so the fact that I got called, that's not good odds. Of course, it's fine that I got called, but it's just interesting how that works. Okay, Troy says, first time I went to jury duty, they selected 1 through 59. I was number 60. Oh, wow. So it wasn't random then? They just went in order? This is completely random. They put all the juror numbers in like like one of those barrel rolls, basically. They roll it, and then they just draw a number out. That's how it works here. Thank you, Allison, for taking care of that. I appreciate it. Hello, Cyrus. Welcome in. No, I agree, Allison. Yeah, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I wouldn't even say, like, there's nothing really, again, there's probably nothing crazy. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not like an earth-shattering opinion, but it was just something that I felt that could cloud my judgment. And so really, it wouldn't have been fair to both the prosecution or the defense for me to have that like preconceived notion about something. And so I just felt like, you know what, have somebody else serve that feels a little bit differently. That's all. I mean, look, I'm not an attorney. I don't know all the facts of the case, but I did share the article with a few people who I talk to regularly outside of YouTube, and I mean, unless something miraculous happens, I don't see any outcome other than a guilty verdict for this person. Again, it's just my opinion, but who knows? Hello, Jesse. Welcome in. Anthony Chihuahua, welcome in. Welcome back. Oh no, I'm sure, Robbie. Yeah, there probably are. Um, Thanks, Todd, for taking care of that. I appreciate it. I think I'm a little behind on the chat here. He looks cold. There you go. He's a cocoon now. A pup burrito. There you go. There you go. There's your Boston burrito. All right, what does Todd say? Todd says, I have served on a jury twice, one acquittal and one conviction. It's stressful to have that impact on another person's life. I agree, Todd. I mean, obviously, I say that now that I'm not selected, but I'm sure it would have been a very stressful process because you are impacting somebody's life, either for the good or for the bad. But at the same time, you got to look at it this way. And I think my line of work helps me with this. I'm not the one that committed the crime. And so you have to take some piece in that fact. But no, I get it. And to me, it's really more like, all right, hey, if I find this person guilty, do I need to worry about like my safety because, from like a family member or a friend, like, you put, my family member friend in jail, I think weird things like that. Like, I know I shouldn't, it's probably not a healthy thing to think about, but it can happen. A pupperito, there you go. Let's see. Ari's out dashing. No worries. Have a good time. I hope you're getting some good orders. Appreciate you stopping in, Ari's World. Yes, travel safe. All right, let's see. Everybody's wishing Chris some safety. Hello, Kitty. Missing. Welcome in. We got 30 in the house, 32 thumbs up. Appreciate it. I probably will, Todd. I mean, so they said that the trial, they estimated the trial was going to take 8 to 9 days. Of course, that's 8 to 9 days that the court is open, excluding weekends. So that's really like 2 weeks. But I bet you it'll take longer. That's my opinion. Hey, Kissy Cat's in the house. Welcome in. Yeah, there was like one of the women on the jury, they actually didn't dismiss her until the very end. I was shocked. So, a woman whose husband was the captain of the Bristol Police Department, which is like, a few towns away from me. It's in Providence County, obviously. You have to be it's actually in the town where that Colt State Park was, where Calvin and I would do some walks. But anyways, her husband was the captain of the police department, and the attorneys are asking like, oh, you must have a lot of cop friends. She's like, yeah, a lot of, like, my husband's been on the force for 23 years. Like, we have a bazillion cop friends. I was like thinking they were going to boot her off right away. They did not boot her off until the very, very end of day 2, which I just found shocking. A babushka, Calvin? Okay. We'll try that the next time. Traffic ticket jury duty? Oh, I don't even know if they do that here. Maybe they do. All right, let's see. Taco Bell will call it a Calvarito. Yeah, good one, Todd. Oh, thank you, Kitty Missing. We're happy to have you here. Thank you for being here. We appreciate that. Let's see. Wow, I really fell behind on chat. Nope, I caught up. Okay, so that was jury duty. Next topic, let's talk a little bit about Calvin. So Calvin, I just mentioned it. He's got a big birthday coming up. He's going to be 6 in about a week and a half. So I am planning on doing a live stream on his birthday. Not sure what we're doing yet, but we'll do something a little fun for him. And then we're also going to go live on Halloween. And so Calvin and I are going to be dressed up for Halloween. It's a Friday. And we will live stream, Halloween, giving out like candy and stuff like that. But I won't reveal his costume until the live stream. So last year we did like a little contest, and I asked people to guess what he's going to be. I don't know. Maybe I'll do something like that just to make it fun. But I'm not revealing the costume until the actual Halloween live stream. Hey, Sock, welcome in. Welcome in, Lemire. Hade, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Hello, Bobby. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being in here. So that's what's coming up with Cal. The other thing I think we're going to do on Saturday, the weather looks good, is we are, I'm thinking about taking Cal to a state park in Rhode Island. It's called Arcadia State Park, not to be confused with Arcadia, not to be confused with Acadia National Park in Maine. But I think that would be fun to take him there. There's some trails there, and I do think we're starting to really get some peak fall colors now around here, and I'm hoping that on Saturday it will look even nicer than what I showed you guys last week. So that's our plan, to do a walking live stream from there. I think that will be nice to show you guys. And that is in Rhode Island, but it's very close to the Connecticut border. I don't know if it touches the Connecticut border. If it does, maybe we'll step foot into the Connecticut border so I can take you guys to another state. But that will be a lot of fun. Yeah, Todd, no problem. I don't think that'll be an issue. I know I'm an hour later, so Todd usually goes live at, is it 5 p.m. Central? Yeah, we can talk about it just to see maybe if we want to move the times around just a little bit. But we'll make it work. All right, Anthony, I can do that. I can do a poll. I did that last year. And I think people guessed the costume that he was, like, the most of all the answers I gave. I think what he was for Halloween was what people guessed the most. So, but yeah, we'll do that. That'll be fun. Hello, Marquetta. Welcome in. Or Marquita. If I'm mispronouncing that, my apologies. All right, what did Sock say? Yeah, you guys are getting close to the meetup. Yeah, I am so psyched. So, can I ask a question? Is there going to be any kind of live stream possibility of the meetup? I think that would be awesome, even if it were short. Even if it was like a 20, 30-minute live where you guys all just kind of, talking to the camera. I think everybody would love that. And if not a live, you guys need to film some kind of video. Somebody needs to do that. I just think that would be really cool. All right, cool. If you guys could post that like a little bit ahead of time, like, I know there's a lot of you going. So, like, whose channel is it going to be on? What time? I think that would be awesome if you can promote that ahead of time, if possible. So, speaking of Texas, I've obviously mentioned I am going to be in Texas November 5th through the 9th. I arrive mid-afternoon on the 5th, but I'm there for a work event on the 6th and the 7th. And then I have the fortunate pleasure of meeting up with the Sock Monkey and Todd on Saturday the 8th. And so they're going to come travel out to the Texas area. And I think we're going to do some golfing and then maybe do a few, exploration things, maybe check out a few breweries and things in the North Houston suburb area. And so Kissy Cat, who is on this live stream, doesn't live too far from there either. So Kissy Cat, if you're around on Saturday the 8th, after we are done golfing, that late afternoon and evening, and you want to come hang out with me, Sock, and Todd, we'd love to meet you and have some fun. But I get if it can't work. It's I know it's not always an easy thing, but if you're around, that would be awesome to see you. Yeah, definitely get that live stream posted soon. All right, yeah, no problem, Kissy Cat. And if you can't, I totally get it. I know it's not an easy thing. Kissy Cat's here. She's Texas Donkey 34. Todd, she is definitely here. Yeah, Anthony, maybe Kissy Cat if she's around. And if not, no big deal. Like I said, I know it's not always easy to do, but throwing it out there. It's so weird, like how, people's channel names, like, for example, like Kissy Cat is Texas Donkey 34. And so sometimes it comes through as Kissy Cat and other times it comes through as Texas Donkey 34. It's just weird. Yeah, it is confusing, but it's nothing that it's not anything that she's doing. It's just how YouTube is like displaying it. It's bizarre. Yeah, just the Three Stooges. Yep. No, but we're gonna have a good time. Yeah, it is. It is weird how it happens like that. Yeah, like Jimmy is another good example. Like Jimmy, if you follow him, he does the fishing videos. His actual channel name is Fractal Fishing USA. That's his YouTube channel name. But like whenever he pops in the chat, it's just Jimmy. So it's not his actual channel name. It's just Jimmy. And so, if it ever came through as Fractal Fishing USA and you don't really follow him, you would have no idea that it's Jimmy. It's just a weird thing. Yeah, I get that, Todd, but like Kissy Cat's name will pop up a lot. Like when Kissy Cat comes on my lives, it usually says Kissy Cat. When she leaves a message on a video, it comes through as Texas Donkey. When she's on the live, when I see her on other live streams, it's Kissy Cat. It's just all over the place. It's so random. You trademarked your name on YouTube? That's funny. Hello, Rosalinda. Welcome in. All right, the last thing I want to talk about, and then we can talk about whatever anybody else wants to talk about, is we'll talk a little bit about the deck, but I'm going to be very vague because I am filming the deck project from the beginning until the very last board is screwed in or whatever the last thing that needs to happen. And so what I'm doing is putting all those clips together into one. It's going to be a very long video. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up as a premiere, and I'll give advance notice so that hopefully a lot of people can watch that. So you'll kind of get to see the deck progress from demolition to completion. And all I'll say right now is that there has been some progress made. We got sidetracked a little bit with our weather this past weekend. Unfortunately, we had that nor'easter, which really was kind of a dud, like wind-wise, which I'm not complaining about, but it did rain a ton. It rained like pretty much for 3 days straight. So during those 3 days, the contractor couldn't really do much. So I did lose 3 days on that. He did come yesterday. He came for a little while today. I wasn't here. I was at work, but I saw him on my Ring camera. He's coming tomorrow, and he's going to he's going to be here on the weekend to do some other stuff. But I'm hoping that the deck will be done by the end of next week is what I'm hoping. So before Halloween, basically. So that'll be phenomenal. I can't wait now. Now that the deck has been torn down and I'm over the pain of losing the deck, now I'm excited about the new deck that's being built. Yeah, he's pretty good, Troy. I'm very pleased with him. He's very communicative. He's always telling me, and he's receptive to questions just because it's not my expertise. Like, I don't have that kind of skill set. I was just never good at like carpentry or, doing that kind of stuff. So, I'll ask him questions and he's always very good about answering them. And, he'll tell me why he's doing something this way versus this way. He seems to take a lot of pride in his work. So and just based off of the jobs that I've seen him complete, like in pictures, everything looked good. He did a small project for my sister and my brother-in-law, and they were very happy with him. So again, it's still early in the process, so I'm gonna knock on wood, but things are good. I have the permit. You can't see it; it's behind this blinds, but I do have the permit stuck to the window just in case anybody tries to give him a hard time. So that's all good. And so yeah, see what else I miss. No problem, Anthony. I thank you for being here too. Yeah, no, I try. I wish, like I said, this week has been a little tough with what's been going on, but I'm like, you know what? I got some time tonight to go live, and I was gonna come live at this time, but then I was driving home from work, and I was listening and kind of watching Adventure America's live stream on my commute, which was brutal today. I couldn't really focus too much on the video because the traffic was just snarled. I literally just had to focus on the road. Otherwise, I would have most likely hit somebody. But I was able to listen to everything and, again, peek here and there and try to get a couple of chats in. But I was looking at the sky. Sunset is like getting early and early here. Literally, the sunset at 6:02 today. So in like a day or two, it's going to set before 6 p.m. and that's very sad to me. But I was like, oh, I think this is going to be a glorious sunset. So I had to go to my mom's house real quick to get a haircut. My cousin was giving me a haircut there. And then I finished my haircut and I was getting ready to drive home. And I said, no, I'm going to go right to that spot on the bike path where I did that live stream before. And I said, I'm just going to do a really quick 10-15 minute live stream of the sunset. And I'm glad I did. Like the first 3 or 4 minutes of that live stream were amazing. It kind of then once the sun really got lower, the cloud coverage was kind of too thick at that point. So it muted a lot of the colors. But if you have a chance, go to that live stream. Just watch like the first 3 minutes. That's all you need to watch. It was really, really nice. All right, what did I miss? Let's see. Winter Soldier asked Arlene, "Why do you say hi to us when we say hi? Then you put a link to our channels. Why?" Well, she's being super nice, Winter Soldier. She's putting a link in case anybody else in here would like to follow your channel. But if you don't want that, we can certainly remove it. You're sick of the sun? That's funny. I love the sun. Todd says, I know how that feels. I drove through Dallas yesterday. I could never do that on a regular basis. It's just painful. Yeah, what's making it really painful, Todd, is one of our so the bridge that connects Providence to East Providence, where I live, had massive. Basically, the bridge deteriorated on the westbound side. It became structurally unsafe, and so they had to close that side of the bridge on an emergency basis. This was already over a year ago. We're talking December. It'll be 2 years in December that this bridge has been closed. They're still not even 100% dismantled it yet. They're still working on that. Then they're going to rebuild that side of the bridge, which is going to take at least 2 to 3 years. And so what they had to do is they had to route traffic going westbound onto the eastbound side of the bridge. So the eastbound side of the bridge had 4 lanes, and they basically redid all the lines and created 3 narrow lanes on each side of the bridge. But the traffic to merge onto that highway, which is Route 195 from Route 95, backs up like from a mile. It takes like 15 minutes just to get onto the Route 195, and then you're crawling all the way until you get into East Providence, where I live. Once you finally get into East Providence, it opens up. So on a good day from work, I work 15 miles from the office. I'll get home in 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. Today it was an hour. It took me an hour to get home. Sometimes an hour and 10 minutes. In the morning, the last like 3 or 4 days, have been really tough. It's been taking probably about 40 minutes to get to work when it normally takes me about 25 to 30. And so it does get old though, Todd. Honestly, after like, that's why I'm psyched when I get to work from home a couple days a week. Not because I don't want to see people in the office. It's just I can avoid that commute for 2 days. And it's just a win-win. Okay, winter solstice, no problem. Hey, Kim Stahl's in the house. Sorry, Kim, I've been spewing my mouth and I missed you come in. Welcome in. Texas Donkey Kissy Cat says, I went to Windstar Casino once. Driving through Dallas was brutal. I can imagine the big cities probably have a ton of traffic. No worries, Ari World. You're fine. Keep driving and drive safely. I appreciate that. Sounds like the new bridge in Corpus Christi. Did that one take a long time to build? Yeah, this was crazy. This has been a nightmare. Allison says only 2 ways in and out, lots of road construction. Yeah, Troy, we'll see when it finishes. It might take another 2-3 years. Like I said, they haven't even started the rebuild yet. They're still tearing down the other side. I think they're just about done with that. I don't know. It's just taking a long time. Oh, yes, Kim. I am done with jury duty. We talked a lot about that at the beginning of the live stream, and I will not repeat it just to spare the folks that have been here. But if you have a chance to watch the replay, Kim, I would say the first like 30 minutes is pretty much all about my jury duty experience. So you can get the full picture if you catch the replay. But yes, I am done with it, thankfully. All right, we've been going for 52 minutes. All right, let me I don't know if Barry's still in the house, but I want to show Barry my see if I can. I got my David Pasternak. Let me see if I can. All right, why isn't... That's cool. Anyways, this is one of my Boston Bruins jerseys that I thought Barry might like. We both root for the Boston Bruins, and they're playing against the Vegas Golden Knights today. I knew that was going to happen. There we go. Thanks, Troy. Yeah, I got about 4 or 5 Boston Bruins jerseys. I'm a little obsessed like that. Oops. Yes, go Bruins. I have a second Pasternak jersey too, Brooks. This one is with the B, but I have one with the... it's one of their like special jerseys that came out that I really liked. Oh, thanks, Kissy Cat. Yes, I got the haircut today. Appreciate that. Feels good. I'm a little bit lighter up top. Yeah, you got to leave early if you want to get anywhere on time. I agree. A lot of times I do get to work from home on Fridays, but I do need to go in the office tomorrow. I've been out for most of the week with the jury duty and the holiday, and so they do like us to be in the office at least 3 days a week if possible. But obviously in this case, with the jury duty and the holiday, I was only able to go in 1 day so far. So I'll go in tomorrow. It's fine. Going in on Friday is not bad. We get to wear jeans on Friday. And, it'll be really busy, but it's still just a slightly different vibe on a Friday. You should have a new T-shirt around the 27th. Okay, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Troy. So, Sock, I don't know if you got your Calvin T-shirt yet. If not, I did reach out to Teespring, and of course, they were like, well, we can't really tell you about the status of the order. Even though you are the creator, they require the order person to actually reach out to their customer service to inquire about the status of the order. So I don't know if you should have gotten an email, at least, confirming your order with an order number. My recommendation, if you have the time tomorrow, maybe, is to try reaching out to them and just say, hey, I ordered this T-shirt a month ago or however long it was, and I haven't gotten it yet. And put the pressure on them, because that's what I had to do in order to get my stuff. I still haven't even got my sweatshirt yet. In fact, I need to reach out to them tomorrow for that. I've just been so busy with like other stuff and it was summer. I didn't really care. But now that it's getting colder here, I really want my Calvin sweatshirt to come soon. But I did try to reach out on your behalf, but they wouldn't give me an order status because I'm not the order person, just so you know. Okay, thanks, Sock. Let me know how you make out. I mean, at the very least, if it still takes a long time, I can still exercise my unhappiness as a creator and just basically say, look, if you don't get your act together, I'll take my store elsewhere. It's not like I'm under contract with them. I could take down the products anytime I want, and I could go try a different vendor. I just use Teespring because I feel like a lot of people use them, and they integrate really well with YouTube, and I just wanted to make it simple. But if they're not getting people their products timely, then I don't want that experience for people either. Yeah, get me the name of the company if you don't mind, Kissy Cat. That would be great. Yeah, very comfortable, Dwayne. Thank you for being here. Hello, Roger. Welcome in. Hey, Arya the Rescue Dog. Welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Your dog just passed away 2 seconds ago. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, please keep me in the loop because that's not right. I mean, you paid for that. I mean, so did I. I mean, and again, I'm just so preoccupied with other stuff. It's not a deal breaker. But now I'm like, okay, enough's enough. I need to get on the horn with them and find out what's going on. But, but if I don't see improvement, I have no problem taking my show elsewhere because it's just not worth it. Thanks, Todd. I appreciate that. All right. What does anybody else want to talk about? We've been on for about 58 minutes. We won't stay on too much longer. But does anybody have any pressing topics they want to cover? Yo, Ange? Okay. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that channel. Do I have friends that have a towny accent? So, do you mean like a New England, Rhode Island accent? Yeah, there's a lot of people that have Rhode Island accents here. Um, I don't think mine is as thick as a lot of folks, and I don't know why. I think it was at one point. I just I don't know if I grew out of it or whatever. But yeah, I know a lot of people who have very thick Rhode Island accents, and can I do an impersonation of them? I don't know. I mean, basically, I could just say, the lingo. I can park the car in Harvard Yard. I like my pizza on, well done with pepperoni. Basically, we don't pronounce R's where they belong, and we add them where they don't belong. That's kind of like the Rhode Island lingo. Wow, we got a lot of trolls coming in right now. My God, I wish I had. And I laugh in a way just because I wish I had like the time to actually go into people's live streams to do that. Not that I would, but I just more so wish I had the time to go into a random live stream and do that. And I wonder how much of this is bot stuff, or if it's like people who are really wasting their time coming in doing that. Paul's mom has the thick Boston accent. Yeah, I actually think the Massachusetts accent, this is how, well, let me back up. This is how I would describe the Rhode Island accent. The Rhode Island accent, I literally think is like a combination of Boston and New York City. Like that's kind of what it feels like to me a little bit. It's like kind of like a blend of those two. Have I ever had puppies? I mean, Calvin was a puppy when I got him, but I don't breed dogs, so no to that question. Troy says, with us, we know it's out of your control, but new people come into the channel and ordering products could be a different story. Yeah, I know. And I don't like that, Troy. Like, obviously, it is my reputation. I understand that it's a third party handling it, but I'm the one putting it out there. And so if it's not a good experience, I mean, look, it's not like, again, we threw it out there just in case anybody was interested. I don't even hardly ever push it. But I also don't want people to order and then have their stuff take a month to get to them. That's not a good experience. Particularly now, like the design is made. Like I already got a t-shirt, Todd got a t-shirt. So it's not like they have to build the design. They already have it in their catalog. All they got to do is pull it up and print a shirt. It can't be that hard. You need a translator to talk to Paul's uncle. That's so funny. Yeah, some of the Boston and like Mass accents can be really thick, but I think it's funny. If you guys really want, like, I'm not joking. There are YouTube videos out there. Go to YouTube and search Boston, New York City, and like Rhode Island accents, and like you'll see that there are videos about it, and see if you can pick up on some of the subtle differences. Yeah, again, Todd, I agree, and that's not right, and I feel bad that it took that long to get your shirt. And so if that's going to be the experience, then I'm going to look into something different that's faster, because again, even though it's outside of my control, it's my rep and credibility, like Troy said, particularly if it's for people that I don't know and they order a shirt. Now, granted, they could always cancel the order, but I don't want that experience. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time and just see, if that's going to get better. And if not, I'll look for something different. Yeah, Todd saw, well, they should be good at it. They were born here. So they're Boston folks, so they better be good at it. Oh, Good Will Hunting is such a good movie. It really is. You've got 10 dogs. Wow, that's a lot of dogs. Hey, Terry's just doing her thing. Welcome in. And congratulations on the membership. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, Allison says probably real people. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I wrapped him up into a burrito at the request of Anthony Chihuahua. All right, cool. I think I caught up on the chat. Oh, Todd saw. Thank you so much for the gifted member. Oh, sweet. Hendo got one. Oh, Luke Lynn got one. Allison, congratulations. Barry. Are you there? Wow. Awesome channels got those memberships. Congratulations, guys. I'm so happy for you. Sweet. Love it. Oh, I appreciate that. We'll get some, I got to get some more member content out there, but we do have some stuff out there. So for all you new members, go check out the members only content. We've got some shorts videos. I think I got like one long form video out there, a bunch of posts. Once we get enough members, if we do, I will try maybe doing a members only live at some point, but You know, I don't know if I have quite enough members for that, but who knows? Maybe we'll try that one day. That'll be kind of fun. Oh, awesome channels got it. I am so happy. Whoops. Uh, Kelly, this is Calvin. This Calvin's the dog's name. Oh, I'm so happy for the channels that got these memberships. You have no idea. I mean, I'm always grateful for anybody who gets the membership, but you know, we have some channels who support us all the time, and you know, I'm glad to see that YouTube is rewarding those folks. So super psyched about that. Oh, I'm happy for you, Allison. Yeah, you'll have to check out some of the members only content that we put out. All right, so we've been at it for 65 minutes, 66 minutes. It's 8:34. Any last requests before we end this? Nice, Allison. Dropping the emojis. I appreciate that. Yeah, Allison, you can. Awesome. Calvin's sleeping through this. Calvin, wow, you're really sleepy, huh? This is where you know he's becoming a pro. Now he's like, all right, Human's going to talk to the camera. I'm just going to. I know, we're close to 6,000, guys. If you know 80 people that might want to join Calvin's channel, hit them up. We're so close to the 6,000 mark. That would be awesome to hit that. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks, Kissy Cat. Yeah, it's cool. We're close to 6,000. That'll be a fun milestone to hit. You know, again, when we started this, I never expected we would be even close to that. Nice, Barry. Thanks for dropping the emojis. Awesome, Allison. Ari's World dropping the emojis. I'm gonna my project this weekend is I'm gonna see if I can create a couple more. I think now I have more members. Like YouTube's weird. You can only create so many emojis based on your membership count. It's kind of a weird concept, but I think now I may have enough to add some emojis, so I'm going to look into that. Maverick, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, buddy. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Yeah, Todd Saw, guys, is close to 1,000. And, you know, and for other channels like our friend KMAC Project, Barry, I think they're working on some watch hours too. If you guys can run some of their playlists, that would be fantastic. Let's try to get them over that hump. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for the heart. Whoops. Sorry. Gimbal error. Gimbal error. All right, there we go. Oh, KMAC Project got a membership. Was that today? Did I miss that? Awesome. Sweet. Thank you for the floating heart, Troy. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, it's been 68 minutes. I think I've taken enough of your time today. I don't know if anybody else is going live. I know Nature Dog Realms a lot of times will do her game nights. I'm thinking that's coming up pretty soon. Chris, if you're still on, let us know if you're going live tonight. Okay, you had it already. Awesome. Thanks so much for the thumbs up, Adventure America. I appreciate that. But if anybody else is going live, be sure to keep your notifications on and check them out. We have some awesome channels here. And yeah, Barry, go Bruins tonight. They got a tough game tonight against Vegas, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I like the way they're playing. They just got to clean up a few of the mistakes. But they're surpassing my expectations to start. So I'm pleased about that. But yeah, thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. And we will go live this weekend, probably on Saturday from Arcadia State Park. And I'll get the link up on that at some point, you know, probably tomorrow, and figure out the time. But it'll probably be like most likely a late morning, early afternoon gig like it was last week. So with that, we're going to, yeah, Sock Monkey's going live tomorrow, everybody. Make sure you check KMAC Project out. Usually he goes live at 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern. And he said he'll get the the link out and make sure you check them out. Their live streams are super fun. I don't know if the Toddster is going to be on with you, and if not, it doesn't really matter. But make sure you check out that live. But with that, we're going to sign off, everybody, and we will see you guys really soon. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.